morning, everyone. Rise and shine with Global Entertainment News Morning Buzz. I am your host, Busola. Ready to kickstart your day with all the fresh news and stories. And right here with me, bringing our home spark to the studio is
Bella.
Let's dive into today's headline, fresh from the Nation and the Guardian. Today's top story from the Nation. EFCC probe seized $86,500 orders concealed in bedspread. Kano Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crime Commission (EFCC) has started investigation into the $86,500 (305,150 Saudi riyals) and €200 seized by officers of the Nigerian Customs Service (NCS) at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport. It said the funds were discovered in an unaccompanied bag suspected to have been smuggled and intercepted last Sunday when a clearing agent attempts to retrieve the bag. Upon physical inspections, customs officers uncovered the foreign currency concealed in bedspread, duvet, and date tags tucked in the luggage.
Well, I feels like this smuggling of a thing has become one of
No, it's
Nigerian, or let me just say, not just Nigerian, every part of the country now. Is either is drugs being smuggled in or other currency being smuggled in. I don't know the business that is involved with this such amount of money when it comes to dollar, Saudi
Euro,
Riyal,
pound.
and euro. It seems like that is a lot of business, and then smuggling this kind of money in is just another suspect from the EFCC to
Yeah.
actually suspect you of one illegal business. So I feel like whatever you're going to be doing, and then you know that it's clean or it's legal, you don't have to go into this smuggling of a stuff because it's already a condemned when it comes to law. You're going to face the consequences, and then you really need to pay for it.
Well, kudos to the EFCC. All
Yeah.
right, let's move on. Four killed, others wounded in Makurdi court clash. Four persons were killed during a court clash at Apehe, Muhukum, Makurdi, Benue State capital at the weekend. The victims were at a drinking joint on Sunday night when gunmen suspected to be cultists overran the joint and shot at people indiscriminately. When the dust settled, four persons were dead, while others sustained several injuries. They are receiving treatment at various hospitals. This is so bad.
Exactly, this is so bad. Court stuff of a thing in Nigeria
It's getting
is,
worse,
I'm
sincerely.
going to say like every part of Nigeria, every state, you can bet yourself with it that there is one gang or group that is in it. Where other countries are developing themselves, even though there's still courts there, they tend to like use a mature way. But here in Nigeria, you got to hear a whole lot of sad story of cultists fighting themselves, killing themselves, or nothing. Like if those things were actually a good thing, like is a good cause that establish you with millions dollars and all that, why do you all have to look into it and then start fighting yourself?
Mhm.
It doesn't bring in anything. It doesn't develop your background. It doesn't change your family status. It doesn't change your name. All it just did is to put guns in your hand and then fighting the opposite.
Killing people anyhow because of what do they gain there? I don't know. Like
It's really a,
it's really getting too much. The government should look into this.
exactly.
Okay, let's move on. Gospel singer Osinachi's husband sentenced to death by hanging. A High Court of the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) in Wuse Zone 2, Abuja, yesterday sentenced Peter Nwachukwu husband of late gospel singer Osinachi to death by hanging after finding him guilty of culpable homicide in relation to the wife's death on April 8, 2022. Justice Nwosu Iheme, in a judgment, held that the prosecution effectively discharged the burden of proof placed on it by the law by establishing the defendant's culpability. Justice Iheme further held that the prosecution, through evidence led, established that Mr. Nwachukwu was responsible for the death of his wife.
Well, I think that let me say abuse in Nigeria when it comes to men and women abusing their partner, it's really, really something that is common. You can still see some women that even when they are being abused in their marriage, they still tend to stay. They feels
Mhm.
like being backed up with some scriptures in the Bible for better, for worse, even when they are being panabated and all that. And this thing is not just among the men alone abusing their wife.
It's
Women
vice
too,
versa.
women to abuse their husband, and some men are too scared to actually speak of it.
Yeah.
Like this Nollywood actor that actually died, Tony, he was being abused by his wife to the point that he died. And I feels like this same person, the wife of this Nollywood actor, has never been brought to book, and then here is this one. I feel all judgment has to be passed equally. All judgment has to be passed equally. If there's that's all kind of a thing of a sexual abuse, and then if a man is being caught or raped, and then when it turns out that this accusation is actually false, they let the lady go. Why is the judgment not passed accordingly? Whoever that is involved in abusing their
Should be
partner,
punished.
children, they should all face the consequences equally. They should
And
no.
and you know that Osinachi family never backed down.
I know that's
That's
not.
why the case was never closed. Probably this story of a person, the family backed down.
Even if they don't even back down, there is an evidence that the police has already said where it's like, okay, this person was being abused by his partner. So every judgment has to be passed equally,
Yeah.
because you can't actually accuse person of a rape, and then when they find out that it was just a false accusation, and then you have been let go as a female because you are a female.
So this will serve as a lesson for those that, let me say, for women beaters, for men beaters, those abusing people. It will serve as a lesson. So let's move on. FRIS orders banks to close illegal tax collection accounts. Bank has been directed by the Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) to identify and shut down any tax and levy collection accounts not authorized under the agency's tax flow mark system. The FIRS directive is part of ongoing initiative to enhance efficiency, promote transparency, and ensure uniformity in the collection and reconciliation of taxes nationwide. In a notice titled "Directive to Close Unauthorized FRS Tax Collection Accounts" and signed by the FIRS chairman Zak Adedeji, the agency ordered that all tax and levy collection must now be processed exclusively through assessments generated on the Tax Pro Max platform.
Well, that's a tax of a thing. I feels like it's become this kind of a thing in Nigeria that every joint and every group feels like they are entitled to collect one tax or the other. If you're going to be like you wanted to open, let me say, a ceremony in a public place, you're going to see all those street boys coming here
Everybody
and
coming.
there to come and collect tax, collect their own levy from that. If you want to open
They
shop,
say land money and all.
and all. It's just like, is this actually the what part of government implementation, or you all just feels like this person needed to pay for it? There was this documentary of a guy that go around this let me say rural area that doesn't have tap water and all that. So when he got there, he says, I wanted to dig a borehole. But do you know that the elder in that community were actually trying to make him pay money for the borehole that he wanted to dig? This thing's supposed to benefit both the young and the old, but this old elders there actually stood on his way that if he does not comply with their terms and conditions, he's
They will
not
not
going.
allow you to stay there.
Exactly. They will not allow him to drill the borehole there. So he has to comply with them. And then the following, after the whole drilling is done, he went back to go and see how the war. They were the old person, the first people to bring out their keg to come and fetch water. And it's like, how is this even going making sense? How is it making sense? This thing's supposed to be, I don't even know, but I feel like this thing is really a good one for the
Yeah, it's
government
a
to
good
step up
one.
because a whole lot of people have been extorted when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to trying to achieve a property or do anything meaningful.
Okay. All right, let's move on to our today's story from Vanguard, from the Guardian. Today's top story from the Guardian. 51 varsity others embroiled in illegal deductions from students' loans. No fewer than 51 institutions have been fingered in illegal deduction and attendance exploitation of the Nigerian Education Loan Fund (NEL) fund scheme. The Guardian learnt that the errant institution makes between 3,500 naira and 30,000 naira off each student's institutional fees that were submitted and received from NEL fund. NEL fund and the National Orientation Agency (NOA) had accused this institution of engaging in deceptive practice by collecting institutional fees from the government without refunding the full value to students at the point of disbursement. They also accused the schools of a lack of transparency for allegedly refusing to disclose disbursement records. The embroiled institutions include Mobido Adama University, Yola, Yaba College of Technology, Lagos State University of Education, Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, LAUTECH, Niger Delta University, University of Port Harcourt, Ajuri University of Education, Port Harcourt, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Bauchi, Kaduna State University, and Federal University, Justima.
Well, I feels like this is something I don't even know how to even put it there. Like every corners of Nigeria are good into when it comes to dipping fingers in
Mm-hmm.
money that are not yours. Well, look at this now in an education institution that things needed to be transparent because of student benefits and all that. There are other people there, lecturers and vice chancellor that are already feels like they wanted to dip their hand into money that is not like
Like I don't even know what they gain there.
the government had taken their own looting to the other side, the educational sector, the
Like
medical sector. Everybody is like they are all after. They don't want it to contribute to it, but they feels like they wanted to take from it, and then it will shorten the program. It will shorten the progress. It will shorten the development of everything that needed to be completed.
that's why Nigeria is not moving forward. You will notice this set of peoples, their children are not in Nigeria. They study
Exactly.
abroad because they know how it feels why they are moving this.
Why
Imagine
they are
people
having a
that are
better education.
suffering to students are suffering to go to school. Okay, the government said let's do this for the students for the benefits for of them to give them loans and they are sending you the money and you are dipping fingers into it taking like the money is not even enough
I'm
and you
going
are
to
still deducting from it.
I'm going to say that even if it is possible today, I would never even go for that student loan that I feels like it's going to be because when I graduated, how much am I going to be earning for a work and then I still need to pay back
The
government?
loans.
No, I won't take that as an option.
But some people don't have means than to take it.
I know some people don't, but you have to spend the rest of your life trying to pay for the government loan.
Wow. Okay, let's move on. Alleged $1 billion fraud. Suspected CBEX promoter surrenders to EFCC. One of the suspected promoters of crypto bridge exchange (CBEX), Adefowora Abiodun Olanipekun, who was recently declared wanted by the Economic and Financial Crime Commission (EFCC), has voluntarily surrendered to the commission to aid investigation. This was as EFCC Kano Zonal Directorate began investigation of $86,500, €200 and €305 (150) Saudi Arabian confiscated by officers of the Nigerian Customs Service (NCS) at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport. Meanwhile, Justice Jude of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, (ACO), Abuja, yesterday dismissed an application filed by the former Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) Governor Godwin Emefiele to reclaim a vast estate in Abuja comprising 753 duplexes and apartments. Olanipeku among the four individuals earlier declared wanted by the EFCC over alleged involvement in a fraudulent investment scheme valued at over $1 billion, turned himself in yesterday and expressed willingness to cooperate with investigators.
I don't think this is going is
It's
true.
real, yeah.
I don't think this is true because those people that actually let me say put into this CBEX of a thing has long fled Nigeria, and then I feels like this one is just giving those that are actually invested into this money a
An
little hope,
assurance.
an assurance that there is still going to be how will I say, a hope that this money is coming back, which is not going to come back. This is not the first time
Something like this is happening.
exactly. A Ponzi scheme is going to be happening in Nigeria. This is not even the second time. Many and many of it has been
But
happening.
I feel, do Nigerian, like, don't we usually learn? This is not the first time it happens, this is not the second time. I'm sure if another one comes in, people will invest in it.
Well, I feel like this thing of a thing is just one click of how will I say, one click of something that you just when you just click it for one person, whoever that invested in it, and then they got the chance to actually get their money back. That is where the news spread. Oh, I invested this so amount in this, and then I got my money back. So a lot of people would wanted to cling into it because it feels like this person invested 20,000 naira and then he was able to get at least 100,000 naira back. Then everybody else wanted to go into this free money that we all know about. Free money it is.
Like, okay, let's move on. CJN seeks tougher sanctions to check electricity-related death injuries. Chief Justice of Nigeria (CJN) Kudirat Kekere-Ekun has stated that the judiciary must rigorously enforce safety regulations in the electric sectors following the loss of 112 Nigerians in 2024 to electrical hazards. This comes as the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission urged the arm of government to safeguard the industry from collapse, noting that wrong judgment may hamper current reforms and investment in the sectors. Speaking at the opening of the 2025 National Seminar on Regulation in the Electricity Power Sector for judicial officers in Abuja, the stakeholders emphasized the vital role of the judiciary in safeguarding the transformation of the nation's electricity sector amid sweeping reform to reshape its regulatory and operational landscape. Kekere-Ekun said the electricity sector stands at a crucial turning point, adding that the decentralized renewable energy, off-grid solutions, and a dual electricity market framework were redefining the industry. Our role extends well beyond dispute resolution. We must interpret legislation, uphold constitutional mandates, and ensure justice is administered equitably in a sector undergoing rapid change, she said.
Well, it's a sad one that we actually have to go with this electricity of when it comes to electricity killing people. 100 and that is a lot of loss within last year, and then we're still going to have to calculate the one that is already happening this year, and then it's really a tragic because even if you are not vandalizing electricity, there's still going to be a possibility that
Yeah.
you have been electrocuted, and then it's really something disheartening. People losing life due to malfunction of the electricity and all that is something that the government really needs to look into, and the our minister of electricity to also work with it to make sure that everything is going in a good and proper way that needed to be worked for us.
Yeah, you know why the ministers and the governments are in their work? I employ we the citizens too. We should take precautions. Some people wet feet, they use it to touch a naked wire. like that. We should take precautions of all these things. It might not be from the government alone, but of from us. How are we helping them?
Well, when you're going to be talking about wet pay, if you're going to look at the western part of they tend to always make a research about everything and then come with the when okay, let's use the computer. The computer we are using before back then is not the one that we are using now.
Now, yeah.
They do research over and over again to make sure that if this one has claimed one or two lives before they wanted to record into 100, they could have come up with a solution. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not like that in Nigeria. That when
Yeah.
when we focus on one thing, we feels like that is going to last us for the
Longer.
centuries. That is not needed to be changed. We are not ready to make proper research and then come up with a new development into some certain things. That
Yeah.
is it.
All right, let's move on. Jam Peter Obi bickers over early exam schedules. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB) has responded to criticism by former presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections, Peter Obi, over the early resumption time for its Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME). Obi had, in a post on his X handle on Sunday, decried reports of candidates, mostly teenagers, being allegedly asked to travel to examination centres as early as 6:30. He described the situation as reckless, citing incidents of accidents and missing candidates, and blamed it on what he called Nigeria's inadequate investment in education. According to Obi, setting examinations for vulnerable teenagers at such early hours is endangering lives and exposing deeper systemic failure in the country's educational sector.
I stand with that. What he actually says, I stand with it
Yeah.
because I've heard of the a girl that went missing on her way
Mhm.
to
A lot, like an
a
accident
pet
happened
that's
on that
up
day.
to today.
It
Yeah, she
claimed a
hasn't
lot
been
of lives.
found yet, and then setting an exam, and then when you get there, you won't even start early. You have to wait for another
2 hours,
2 hours,
3 hours.
3 hours before the exam will commence, and then sometimes the system and manufacturing the system are not even good. You just have to enjoy, and then you still have to put the life of teenagers
At risk.
at risk, asking them to have to locate their centers at 6:30. How the country is not even safe for adults. A mother and a child are scared. A family is scared, and then you putting the life. It's something that the government really needs to look into.
To me, I feel they are not well organized. Because if they had organized, they would have released this jam slip a day, or let me say 2 days, 3 days before that particular day they are doing their exam.
Well, the jam slips have already been released before that day, so some people were not ready to actually go. Some people feels like they would go on the D-Day. Some people already know the place. Some were have this girl that I'm talking about. She left around 1 p.m. in the afternoon to go and look for her center, and then
Even at that, this 6:30 of AM of a thing to go for an exam is wrong.
it's really really
It's really
wrong.
wrong. When you know that the exams are starting by 8 o'clock, why don't you put people going to an exam venue to 7 or 7:30? At least you know that when they arrive, they are just entering, doing their biometric this thing, they are entering, nothing is stopping them. If it was well organized, it will be arranged appropriately.
Well, our government will never cease to amaze us. Minister of Education and whatever that feels like. I feels like even our educational system is still not at a balance, and then we have to go from how will I say common entrance, junior WAEC, and
Why?
JAMB a lot. When we come about NECO, GCE, this and that, like how are we going to settle for all this? And when you still get to university, it's just as if that you're going to start with the writing and all that, handouts and all that, exam
From
and
fire to fire.
and it's not even settled.
Oh,
The background is not well laid. We are just we are just going to school because we needed to survive. When you get your certificate, you wanted to work and then be paid. But we are not getting educated because we wanted to use it to solve majority of Nigerians' problem.
it's wrong. I just feel the government should look into it, especially the Minister of Education. They should just step up on their game. There are a lot of things that needs to be changed. They should not keep looking around and be like, okay, it will get better. What is getting better? Without you working, how will it get better?
Definitely.
Thank you for joining us today on the Breakfast Show. I've been your host, Bisola. I hope you enjoyed today's program. Be sure to share, like, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, thank you.